Welcome to the Forgive Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Brenda Reese, and today I'd like to share with you about holding two truths at the same time in this very unprecedented and uncertain time. You know, I don't have to tell you that the world is going through some pretty scary times right now. There's a lot of fear and honestly understandable, right? But at the same time, we're also witnessing moments of deep humanity. People coming together, standing up for each other, and also walking for peace. I've been following the monks on their walk for peace, and it's been incredibly moving, especially as we're also witnessing violence happening in different states. It's a powerful reminder to me that we can hold two truths at the same time. And it brings me back to an old saying you've probably heard before. As above, so below, as within, so without. This has really made me curious about the upheaval we're experiencing, not just collectively, right? But personally, because again, as within, so without, meaning outside of us. Could that be what's happening here? We're seeing a reflection of the chaos of what's going on inside. Is there a reason for all that to happen? Because I get reminded, because of the work that I do, to look at things through a different lens. And I'm also reminded, because of all of that, all of the chaos and the witnessing, I'm really reminded how important it is to have a center, a core, a foundation that we can come back to when everything feels like it's shaking, unstable, out of control. Because if my nervous system is a wreck, I don't have a foundation to stand on at all. And I can be swayed too easily with fear and manipulation. Fear breeds fear, right? And if I don't have a solid core or home within myself, well, that makes it harder for me to feel stable. And honestly, that's been my reality for the past 5+ years. I've been living in an unstable fight or flight situation with the caregiving, as you have heard me share about before. And as much as I want things to move faster, to feel better, I want my energy back, I want to heal, I want to feel more and have more capacity, I'm coming to terms with the truth that building a solid foundation is going to take more time for me and probably the world too. What I'm finding is that the more we can come home to ourselves first, and then to one another as a community, the better chance we have at something that actually resembles peace. Over the last few months, especially after recording those episodes I did, like the good girl syndrome, the difference 2 years makes, and what Miraval taught me, I felt myself creating something new internally. And the honest part is that this new foundation is still wobbly. I'm not where I want to be with my energy. There are still very real things needing my attention. My husband, my home, my health, because that took a real big toll, and my work. And yet part of me keeps saying, oh my God, you should be back by now. Come on, get fully on board. You should have all your energy, right? That's my little perfectionist in there. My little critic, my judging person. Let's get on it, right? And that's when I realized something important. I was confusing reality with that good old fantasy thinking. That fantasy thinking that kept me in unhealthy relationships for far too long. Can you relate? And jobs that weren't working for me. It's like believing your life is going to be all better if you just lose 10 pounds, right? I mean, that's just it. Or like last year, when I truly thought everything would magically settle down once Doug was safe in memory care residence. I imagined all the time and energy would suddenly appear after years of caregiving. And I shared this with you. It didn't happen that way. Not even after 2 years. I'm better, but not where I thought I would be. The other day, I caught myself scrolling social media, right? So let's be honest. You really have to be in a solid place first to do this. And I had an intention for going there, but you get sucked into those little reels. So I wasn't there to look for what was happening in the world. I was looking at social media because as my energy was returning and this little voice that kept telling me, you've got to get back into things. I'm feeling, starting to feel like, okay, I can engage again. It was a crazy thing that happened, and I'll tell you in a second, because it's been a challenge to give my energy to social media or to even world events when I had been feeling as caregivers, as parents, as taking care of our own parents or other people, we get very drained from caregiving. And had been feeling drained from all the caregiving. And so I thought, okay, well, let me check this out. And when I was looking through social media, let me see what's going on with these, in the world of coaching. I saw people I admire doing things that I thought I should be doing now. And yeah, you got it. The comparison came up. And that darn voice showed up in my head. She's going, oh, look, she's got more credentials than you. Oh, you need more education. You've been lazy. Get your butt to work. And who do you think you are? Now, I have a feeling you know that voice, right? And honestly, I just wanted to quit everything. Everything. Have you felt like that? Especially lately? Whew, please tell me yes, so I'm not alone. Now, luckily, I had a session booked with my therapist that day. And then when I shared this with her and telling her all the stuff, she said something that made me really pause, and I want to share it with you because it made an impact. She goes, what better way to keep a wise voice down than to assault it all the time with negative statements? And then she added, she leaned in, you don't have to listen to that voice. And something clicked. I felt like I got shaken awake. A puzzle piece fell into place because I heard wise voice and assault, right? What better way to keep a wise voice down than to assault it all the time with negative statements? And those two things hit me. Wise voice, so it validated who I am, right? She was seeing in me the wise voice, reminding me of that, but also reminding me about assaulting. Like that kind of woke me up. It's like, oh my God, I'm assaulting myself. I'm allowing this to happen. And then she's like, you don't have to listen to the voice. And I just got shaken awake. A puzzle piece, it just is like that puzzle piece fell into place. It's like, wow. Oh my God, I don't have to listen. Oh, and so I got humbled because I teach this. I help clients work with their inner critic all the time. And there I was completely ignoring my own wisdom. That's why I have a coach. That's why I have a therapist to lovingly call me on all my shit and remind me that I'm human and that there's always another way to see things. In fact, that's why I love the forgiveness work that I teach. It guides us to shift our perception around our patterns, beliefs, and stories. At that day, I needed to be guided myself. I needed a witness that I trusted so she could call me in, not call me out, because I think being called out is pretty harsh. She called me in. And this is what I share with my clients, which means I get to witness myself and allow the awareness of my realization to just seep into my being. With everything happening in the world right now, it's so easy for our nervous systems to get hijacked. Fear rises, the inner critic gets louder, control feels like it's slipping through our fingers. And most of us have some kind of control issue, right? I know I do, right? Let's get real. So I wanted to come here and share with you. I hear you. I get it. I was getting swept up too. Let's have a little grace for ourselves. This reminded me of something that I remind my clients about. And that is, even when the world feels out of control, you still have agency over yourself. You have control over your own narrative, even if you don't catch it at first. You have control over your inner world, and you have control over your foundation. We do have control. And what I realized was that I had gotten away because I got swept up. I had gotten away from doing the things that really helped me to stay in my center, to calm my amygdala down, because my amygdala doesn't know whether what I'm seeing is on a screen or whether it's really happening to me. It can't tell the difference. It's my job to bring the awareness to myself and to do what I can to calm my nervous system so I can be a bringer of peace and not add to the chaos. So I want to share what I've returned to very intentionally to fortify my own foundation so that it can slowly build and get stronger and not be so wobbly. Now, these things aren't flashy. It's very basic, but they're grounding for me. And I'm hoping that they will be for you. And I'm sure you're doing some of these. And I'd love to know what works for you. Okay. So the first thing that I returned to was breathing. I know that sounds funny, but what I did was I exhaled. Because when we're caught up, when we're flooded with emotion, that's what we do. And then we breathe very shallow. Exhale. So our body needs to exhale. And so you can do a simple 4 count, inhale, hold it, and then exhale for 6. So count in for 4, but exhale a little longer, because what that does is that helps to calm the nervous system, and do that until you start to feel a little calmer. Now, I also got back to walking. Now, I was doing walking, but I was walking like I got to exercise. I had somewhere to be. It was like I had a job to do. So I started slowing my pace, because I was told years ago, Brenda, when I had adrenal fatigue, and I remember the doctor telling me, if you slow down physically, it helps to slow down your nervous system. So I got outside into nature. Even just a few minutes is helpful. And then what I noticed was paying attention to what I saw, what I heard, right? And I don't have any smell, so I couldn't smell anything. But what you would do is like, what do you smell? What do you hear? Get all into your senses. And then if there's birds around, that's even better, because I learned that if we hear birds or bird song, then that helps us feel safe, because it goes way back to our ancestor days. If they heard birds, then there wasn't any predators. So our nervous system automatically knows if we hear birds, we can calm down. Now, I got back to meditating, and my meditation is part of that walking, right? Not just to sit, because I sit to journal, but sometimes I'm not able to just meditate. I can do it sometimes with music. I can do a guided meditation, but I do both. I do a walking meditation. Like I just said, when you feel all your senses and you're noticing and you're seeing, you're not listening to, a podcast or books or anything, just being with yourself is fabulous. But any kind of meditation helps you to know what your center is about. It helps you to know what the language is that you're saying to yourself. It helps you to get to know you. And then journaling. So I got into that. Now I don't do it every day, but I like to do it especially before bed, because then it gets all the things out of my head that I'm thinking so I can sleep a little better. And the other thing that I had started to do, I learned, and I share this with clients, is the fears list. So I started journaling about my fears. What was I afraid of that day? And then I write one thing that is opposite of that fear that I feel like I can do to help me feel in control. And that leads me to the other thing that I threw into the mix, was making a list of what I can control. And you can do this with your journaling. You could write down something that a fear that came up, but you can also write down what do I have control? It reminds us to help us feel safe. Now I am practicing gratitude, even with everything going on. And you don't have to do all of these, but you can do them if you want, because that's what I found is working for me. The gratitude. When I wake up in prayer, I say, thank you, universe. Thank you so much for today. Thank you for, helping us open our hearts to each other. Thank you for peace. Thank you for guiding me to who needs guidance today. And thank you for bringing me to people that I need guidance from, right? I do this little meditation prayer, and I do it first thing. And in it is gratitude, and that sets me up for the day. I also practice gratitude throughout the day. And I shared this recently with a client, and I said, when I get gas, I say thank you. When I get groceries, if I swipe my card or pay cash, I'm saying thank you so much for the abundance, because I know I'm lucky. I know that having a house and a car and able to buy food, that is a lot of gratitude to have. And so, because there's people that don't. So I have been doing that consistently, and it is shifting. And that's what they say. It shifts the chemicals, right, in our brain. And then, take some action. If you're not able to do any of this, there's a way. When we take action, we can kind of help bring back control, or the feeling that we have control. So taking aligned action is what I call it. And that's doing what feels right for you. Maybe it's reaching out to someone that you feel can help you. Maybe it's you reaching out, getting out of our own head, right? And reaching out to somebody who's hurting. Maybe it's sending messages to lawmakers. Maybe it's financially supporting causes that matter, or simply offering your presence. Just sitting with someone means the world. We don't have to know what to say. We just have to be willing to be. And then, I'm choosing again and again and again, because we're never done. And I have to remind myself, I'm choosing to come home to myself again and again and again. So that's how I'm building a foundation that doesn't collapse when fear shows up. I'm not bypassing what's real. I'm not pretending that everything is fine. I'm honoring my humanity. And when we do this together, we honor our humanity. And then we get to remember that we don't have to listen to every voice in our head. Such a learning experience. I'm always learning. If this resonated with you, I invite you to pause today and ask yourself, what helps me come back to my center? What strengthens my foundation? And if you're a worksheet kind of person, there's going to be a free download in the show notes to kind of guide you through what we've talked about today. Thank you for being here. It was really good sharing with you today. And I'm so grateful that you're doing the work you are doing, because it helps so much. We affect so many people around us. And so when we keep in mind that, when we get to our center, that we can feel love and peace, and we can share that, it makes a difference. And also keep in mind, you're not behind. We're all becoming, constantly becoming. And until next time, take care of you. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, would you do me a favor and share this episode and then follow us on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss one episode of the Forgive Yourself podcast, where every Friday you will get tips, tools, and stories so that you can turn your pain into peace. Take care.